but there's a long tradition of these types of voices of conscience. So I just immersed myself in the world of St. Sabina and spent time with Father Mike and his peacekeepers and the community there, and tried to learn as much as I could.
We love you on Windy City Live. Yes, we do. Tell us, how did all this happen? How did this come about?
Well, I play me. I play Val Warner in Chirac, which is really cool. So when people see this movie, they are literally seeing Val, and I am a reporter in the movie.
We talk about the violence, but what can we do personally?
I think we got to be engaged, and I think engaged in a number of things. In our block, in our home, in our neighborhood, we got to be engaged. We got to fight the issues. We got to fight a government that is abandoned, you know, whole communities on the south and the west side. We got to fight a governor who's cut out every youth employment program, who's cut out violence prevention programs, who's abandoned our communities and the poor and the vulnerable. And I think we got to reach out to our brothers on the street and love them and respect them and help them, not just demonize them.
My participation is only because of Mr. Spike Lee, our leader, our director, and he reached out to me and blessed me with the opportunity to be in this film and said that his mission was to save lives in the south side of Chicago.
I'll just say like this. First of all, the history of coming to Chicago and telling my jokes as a young cat. I'm 37 now. I started about almost 15 years ago. Elroy taking me under his wing, let me do some jokes here and there for the radio stations and all that kind of stuff.
We are more than that. We are more than that. We're greater than that. And I feel like in places like this, or Chicago, or whatever you want to call it, the hood, whatever you want to call it, like, it's too much attention dwelled on the negative.
I learned that no matter what you do and how much of a genuine heart you have, and if you're coming from a good place, people are going to criticize if they don't agree with what you're doing.
Hi, we're from Empire, and you're watching the Higher Learning Network.
So how long have you been standing here?
Not too long, like an hour. So we're moving in fast. This is a good sign.
Yo, what's up? It's your man Tony Schofield from 106.3 Chicago's R&B, and you are watching Men on Higher Learning. Now, I used to hang around with some men that was into some higher learning. It just wasn't that kind of higher learning, but I got myself together now, okay?
What is it that you do in your quiet time, in your meditation time, that allows you to bring us the films that you do?
I sit courtside in Madison Square Garden, world's most famous arena.
And you're watching CTV on the Higher Learning Network. Got your head right.
I'm Joe McPhee of the ECBC Studios, and welcome to my booth here at Codeathon 2019. This is the second year that they have it here, and we've been here both years. And we're back in our normal spot here with our brand new comic book issues here. As you can tell, we just released issue number 6 of Amazonia. And today we also have all our variants, including the C2E2 variant of issue number 6 as well. In addition to that, we also have brand new 13x19 prints that we have released only for this show here. And from there, pretty much, we're still trying to bring you the best in comic book entertainment to you here. So if you got a chance, feel free to stop by our booth. Our booth number is 504, and we're here live right now at WakandaCon 2019.
All right, so tell us how you got started, Joe. I mean, it's hard enough for some people to do one book. You got a whole collection here.
Well, pretty much it started out as kind of like a hobby. I started collecting comic books when I was younger, and then kind of like as like a thing that I was just did. After collecting comic books, I actually started drawing my own stuff back in high school. I never went to school for it or anything to that magnitude, but I kept at it. Then while I was in the military for a couple of years, I kept drawing, and eventually I met up with a couple of college friends of mine in early 2000s, and they got me back into the actual comic book circuit, and they made me go out to all these different artist outlets, and then I got behind the booth, and from there I just started doing them professionally.
Right. Good. So what's ahead for you and the company?
As of right now, we're trying to take a little bit of hiatus. WakandaCon is going to be our last show for this year. We're getting ready for C2E2 2020, which would be our 11th year of doing C2E2. We just got through celebrating our 10 years. Actually, the show has been around for a decade now. So it's kind of weird that being in the grassroots of that and being there for every last one, that we're about to go into year 11. And speaking of which, I'm also having another Kickstarter coming soon here for Primetime Saturday Night number 0 and issue number 1. Even though we have issue number 1 out, but I did a prequel issue 0, which tells the people what actually happened in that pay-per-view event that was mentioned in issue number 1. And hopefully we'll have issue number 4, Primetime Saturday Night, done, and issue number 7 done for next for C2E2, hopefully by February of 2020. If people who don't know, C2E2 next year has been moved up to February 29th through March 2nd of next year. So just to make you aware of that, they have pushed everything up a month. So if you look at the application, or if all of a sudden take a look at their website and notice the word February, no, that is true. You hit the right website. They did push up to February for next year.
Well, thank you so much. You're an inspiration to many of us. Thank you so much.
Well, I want to meet more people, to be quite honest here. It's like I've been out here for about a decade now and still trying to keep pace with everything that's going on. And I love talking to the people. I love talking to my fans. And I like encouraging other people to do what I do.
We will spread the word.
All right.
Sure, we're Heroes Footwear out of Memphis, Tennessee. We make shoes for everyday heroes. And what we have here, our first 2 models, the Samaritan and the Black Panther Samaritan Low. They only weigh 5 ounces, so it's one of the lightest, most comfortable shoes you'll ever wear. And we donate a portion of the proceeds to St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital.
Welcome, we're Mazizi International. We make jerseys for literally every single country. Feel free to check us out. My name is Paco Asando. I'm the chief and founder of it. We started 4 years ago. And we're literally just trying to have people, especially black people from all around the world, remember to stay rooted. So we have jerseys like Wakanda. We officially partnered with Marvel last year as a part of the Black Panther merchandise release. We have Lion King, which we partnered with Disney last week as a part of the movie release. We have Black Lives Matter. We got Africa. We have Caribbean jerseys, we have Afro-Latin. Literally do it all for all of our people. So y'all holla at us. Thank you, brother.
We are representing North Lawndale College Prep, which is an awesome charter high school on the west side of Chicago in the North Lawndale area, and we're here to tell about all of the wonderful enrichment programs that we have to offer students, our college scholarship programs that we have to offer students, and Ruffalo some goodies, some North Lawndale swag, some school supplies.
biggest challenge is getting them over the fear of leaving their community and understanding that there is a whole world outside of North Lawndale that can better prepare them for success. So we have summer enrichment programs where we send them to colleges or internships over the summer. It's called our Phoenix Rising program, and that program helps them get over that fear and helps them understand and build those skills that they need to be successful. They go over to colleges for a couple of weeks, or they have internships downtown for a couple of weeks where they build those skills, get acclimated to the college atmosphere, and then just the working world.
Thank you.
Said it was coming. It's coming. Here we are today,
I always
man.
got to support. You know, I'm
man.
really glad it came out. I'm looking forward to issue 2.
And when you put a superconductor in a magnetic field, you get what is called So there's the demonstration of magnetic levitation and the Meissner effect. As you see, it goes very quickly, very easily, virtually known. The other things that are interesting, not only does it work this way, but it also works this way. I'll right side up and upside down. So there's a demonstration of magnetic levitation, the Meissner effect, and high temperature superconductors. As I said, we use lots of superconductors. By the way, now that I've dumped out the liquid, it'll now warm back up and therefore come in contact with the track and no longer be racing around like that. So.
So what's going on here? This is coding for young people, huh?
Yes, so this was brought to life by the amazing Gabrielle Krevker. She is also known in the tech space as No Way She Codes. So she basically has an open coding session today and tomorrow, 10 to 5, in which
I put together a Codeathon to teach people in our community just a new skill set, whether you already know how to code, whether you don't know how to code, whether you're young or old. Everybody can come in and kind of choose a focus, such as like gaming, web design, app design, and also choose a level. Are you a beginner? Are you intermediate? And essentially just leave with something new, some type of knowledge. I think it's really important. I feel like a lot of the Black community isn't aware of the jobs you can have or what the skill set can do in conjunction with what you already know.
you are never too old to learn anything, but just wanting to also, for our youth, this is something that they use and they leverage and don't even realize it, so really just opening their minds to knowing like, hey, this is a possibility for you to make a career, within the engineering side of a company or the actual coding aspect of a company.
All right, so how did you get into it?
Whew, that's a story. Okay.
Go for it.
So back in the day, not that I'm that old, we had MySpace. And MySpace, I tell people all the time, I think was ahead of its time. Back then, we were all making these profiles, and essentially, we were coding. Like, every time we would customize our profiles, we had to, drag and drop code, copy and paste code, and we were learning how to code. And I actually found, the actual source of my whole MySpace page, and that's actually, I could read it. I don't know why, it just made sense. So then I would just, type it out and do those things. And my friends would be like, well, where did you find this page? And I was like, I don't know, this is what I do now. But I didn't even know, but then I didn't know it was a skill set. So I didn't know, this is a job, people do this for a living. And I went to school to be a dentist, and I didn't like chemistry. So then I took a coding class as an elective because I knew I could do it. Like I knew what coding was, I knew I've done it before. I just didn't know what the fruits of my labor would be. So I just changed my major thinking like, I just want to get out of college. Little did I know I then became an engineer, so that's super cool. That's a little bit about my story.
So I started off in working for a news station in the city, and then from there I switched over to advertising. I was a producer by trade, and so I literally tripped into tech, if you will, by starting with an org called Ad Color. So from there, something that was helping add diversity, and then I just made a lot of great connections, and when the time was right, I wound up coming to Microsoft.
Well, STEM education is a really big passion of mine. I mean, I'm currently a software engineer right now, but I would love to continue to do events like this. So I do them a lot now, more so for my company. This is the first one I've done where it's kind of like my own thing, and I call the shots. You know, I did whatever I wanted to do. So I kind of want to find more spaces to implement things like this where I can customize based on the community.
especially with releasing them every day. So like the idea was that we would get on the phone, we would plan out a month, and then we would assign it out to all these different freelance artists, you know, depending on budget. Like we had one artist who was like, yeah, I'll do like, you know, I'll give you like a package deal. And we was like, all right, we're giving you a lot of work, but he can't do it all. I mean, it's 365 characters. We never get it out on time. Only one person was working on it.
Let's talk about that tangible process. So it's an idea, and then it goes story, and then image, or does it go idea, image, and then story?
It could
be either way. Sometimes we have ideas about stories, we write the story, we visualize the character, we assign the art. Sometimes it's we have an idea for a character, we work with the artist, we get the art, and then the art inspires the story. So it's been both ways for me.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar. I have found that the story you're telling will sometimes, or a lot of times, inform the look of the character, right? Especially what you want the character to represent, you know. And but basically, what I'm saying is that, like, you know, yeah, you have a character, and you are like, for us, we have characters like, okay, what part of the story this character represents that can inform, you know, what the character looks like, the visual of the character, you know, and you know, how they come across to
What was let's talk about Audacity, what was the craziest idea that you had and you guys explored with it, or was it one that you had to put on the back burner?
Well, most of our crazy ideas on the back burner because they're very expensive, like crazy, you know? We're working on.
Here's an idea. So our metropolis, right? Our Gotham is called Platinum City. And basically the historical or the content origin of Platinum City is an earthquake splits the U.S. down the middle.
Like literally, it's like a 13-mile chasm that goes from Canada to Mexico. So you literally have an east side and west side now.
So yeah, so they build bridges across the chasm to reconnect the country, and on top of those bridges, they build this megapolis. It becomes the epicenter for planet Earth. People from all over the world start moving there to, you know, kind of claim their own piece of this new Garden of Eden, or this new, you know, center of the world. And in that, we're like, you know, brainstorming, and you know, the story starts from that. That's the origin. But we're like, what else can we do with Platinum City? I know, let's get a drawing done in Platinum City. So we get a drawing done in Platinum City.
A portion of it.
Well, what else can we do in Platinum City? Well, we were always talking about getting action figures and stuff. Let's get a model built in Platinum City. And it's like, okay, well, wait a minute, like, how are we gonna do that? And then I'm like, well, I know an engineer friend. I got a friend that's an engineer, let's talk to him. And so he starts checking out the stuff, and he's like, well, yeah, I got some ideas on how we can build. So now we're talking about building Platinum City. And it's
scale
like,
model of Platinum City.
It's like, yeah, okay, let's kind of bring it back a little bit, and tone this down, and we could really kind of use this money in other places instead of building like a huge set of Platinum City and then just having it sit there in our audience, and we carry it from show to show, you know. And you know, but then again, the audacity is us online Googling, how much does it cost to create your own city, to build your own city? Like, how much does this cost? Because we do probably use Lincoln Logs and Legos, which that's the thing. And so we're looking at all this official expensive materials and stuff. It's just like, yeah, no, at some point you gotta rein it in. And you could have these big grand ideas. I think the important thing is see them through. Go all the way through the process, and don't just quit because you think, oh, I won't have the money,
And also don't quit if what you're doing, like I said, doesn't match what's in your head. Like, that's okay. Like, it's okay to start out with something. Like, I find that filmmakers, people who are aspiring filmmakers, they often are like, well, I gotta wait till I have the budget, I have to wait till I have everything in place. Like, you know, I can't afford, you know, the cameras or da-da-da-da. Yes, you can. Your smartphone has a 4K, like, which has a 4K camera on it, which is more powerful than the things that they were making movies with just like 15 years ago. You know what I mean? You point and shoot. And yes, it's not gonna have, you know, all the special effects and all the craziness, right? But, you know, write your story, you know, write the dialogue, just start making it happen, you know, because again, you also learn through experience, right? You know, I'm a creative consultant. I have people come to me all the time. It's like, I want to write a book. Like, how do I do it? You know, or they'll say to me, I want to write a book, but I can't do that. And it's such a big da 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 da. It's like, of course, it's a big thing, but everything's a big thing. But we do everything step by step, right? You know, you don't like when you cook like a meal. You don't just be like, voila, it's done, right? No, you gotta like go to the store, get the ingredients. You know, look up the recipe, put everything in its right place, mix this up, da, 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 da. And that's the other thing, right? You don't start with the gourmet. The first meal you ever make is not a gourmet meal. The first meal you make is something smaller, some grilled cheese, you know. This rice, like, I still can't do rice, I always still burn it. You know what I'm saying? But you start out with something small. You don't have to start out with the end game or the big book or the you know, hour and a half film. Start with the 10-minute film. Start with the 1-page story. Start with the 2-page comic. Start with the Facebook post that talks about your story, you know, and don't be scared to share your stories. Okay, so this is something that I want to talk about, right? Because a lot of people think to themselves, I can't share my story because what if someone steals it?
Or until it's ready.
Or until it's ready. It's got to be ready. What if someone steals it? It's like, you know, we release all our stuff on the internet like as we were writing it. No one has stolen it yet. You know, and not only that, but let's say someone does hear your idea. If they take that idea and they create it and create something and make it the way they want to make it, it's still going to be different from whatever you were going to do, right?
Is being comfortable with whatever social media platform that you want to use. Each platform has its own culture and its own behavior with the type of people that are on it. Twitter, it might not be there for long conversations because of the character limits. If you're on Instagram, mostly people are only on there to look at images, give it a quick like, and move on with their day. They're not here to listen to your long dissertation about X, Y, Z, because that's not the nature of that platform. Facebook, it's a little more wide open. You can do whatever you need to do on that platform in a variety of different ways. But the most important thing is for you to be comfortable with whatever platform it is that you're comfortable with. I cannot stress that enough. And the reason why I say that is because every platform, especially the ones you're not familiar with, they have their own learning curves. You know, like if, for example, I'm on Facebook all the time. And that's one of the reasons why my Facebook following is so large, because I know the culture. I know how to, you know, put certain content out there that's engaging for people. I'm not that good at Twitter. I don't really like Twitter that much. And because of it, my Twitter following is like very small in comparison. So, you know, one of the things that, you know, I try to do now is I try to put a little bit more effort into actually making organic, authentic posts on Twitter or on Instagram or the lesser known, lesser used ones. Because what I tried to do is a shortcut. You know, and one of the shortcuts you'll have is like, Facebook will do something. If you post here on your page, we'll automatically post on Twitter for you or whatever platform. But guess what? When you actually go to my page on Twitter at that point, it looks like a robot is just posting stuff, and it's not authentic. And you all can see that. So what I'm trying to communicate here is that you want to make sure that whatever you're doing is authentically you.
Is Monday morning a struggle to get out of bed, into the swing of things? Well, don't worry, you are not alone. Join us for thought-provoking, stimulating, and mindful conversations on higher learning with Zelda Speaks for your Monday morning mindfulness session on Blog Talk Radio, The Female Solution, Mondays, 7:30 until 9 a.m. Be sure and send your ideas, thoughts, comments, and suggestions. Experience mindfulness moments with the mindfulness/stress relief coach, Zelda Speaks. And thanks for sharing the mindfulness moment tip of the day. Stay on purpose, stay empowered, and stay tuned to your next session of mindfulness on higher learning with Zelda Speaks. Make it a mindful day.